And we're back. A lot of things have happened in the last couple of days. Some bad things, but overall, I'd say some good things. First thing that happened was Brianna Wu. Now, I talked about her in my last video about how she went on CNN and pretty much lambasted 8chan and GamerGate as hate groups and hate websites. She later went on Huffington Post and pretty much said the same thing, but HotWheels and Kain were there, and Hot Wheels didn't let her get away with that. That video, as the other videos that I'm going to talk about, will be in the description box, so you can go over and give those people a thumbs up or like or whatever they call it on Facebook, YouTube. I'm sorry, but the point that I want to make is that number one, I've talked about, as many of you have probably complained about to your friends, that for the longest time they have been taking these death threats that these women have been receiving, and they've been they've been blaming GamerGate for it, even though there's been no evidence linking it. And recently, three female GamerGate supporters, Jemma Morgan, Georgina Young, and Jennie sorry if I mispronounced your last name, Jennie, I'm sorry. They were the only people who were ever able to, at this point, get on live television and express the real problems of that GamerGate wants to talk about. And they did a marvelous job. They went through all of his meandering and trying to bait them in conversations of sexism and misogyny, and pointed out that no, this is not about sexism and misogyny. We are not misogynists. We are not sexist. We want to talk about corruption in the game journalism. Excuse me. We wanted to talk about the corruption of game journalists and the gaming industry, for that matter. And whenever we try to talk about it, you people accuse us of being misogynist and sending death threats. Death threats that in no way are linked to us, but you keep doing it, and you let fucking Brianna Wu get on your channel and say over and over again, with no proof and no shame, that GamerGate is a hate group that was designed to attack women. Even though all of these death threats, the death threats that Anita was sent, and the death threats that Zoe Quinn was sent, and Brianna Wu was sent, none of these have been linked to GamerGate. And Anita's been threatened, I think, 3 times at this point? None of these people are linked to, to GamerGate in any way. And this article is a update that was updated yesterday, where they now are forced to admit, at the bottom here, it says that there is no mentioning of GamerGate in the threatening letter sent to Utah State University. Never mind the dozens of articles that Kotaku and all of the other websites, like Gamasutra, Rugby Shotgun, Polygon, whenever they write articles about GamerGate and calling it a hate group, they always bring up the fact that these women had to flee their homes. They had to flee their homes because of GamerGate. Because for the longest time, they didn't have to give any proof, because no one outside of people on the web knew about this. But now that it got on TV and these women were able to prove that, these women have no evidence linking GamerGate to these threats. And so now they've been forced to retract their statements. But an interesting thing has happened. I think a lot of people were upset when Brianna Wu was doing her hit pieces. But I actually thought it was a good thing. I mean, I was upset when I watched it too, but I honestly think it's a good thing, because the way these people act, they are not used to having real discussions. They are only used to having discussions online that can be moderated, so anybody who disagrees with them can easily, with the click of a button, be booted from the conversation. I don't like that guy. I don't want to have a discussion with that woman. Click, she's banned. Click, delete his comments, Or, if you have a discussion with them on Twitter. They can say, this person is harassing me, he's a troll, he's stalking me, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll have your Twitter account deleted or your Facebook banned or whatever you use. They're not used to having actual debates. It's either just talking on the internet or lectures where they're the only person talking. This was the first time that they got on national television. And honestly, I thought she was out of her mind when she went on, Brianna went on television, because it's like, you have no proof to back up your claims. Now, I understand why she did it, because, well, he was going to let her talk for pretty much the entire interview. HotWheels and Erik Kain got about, 2 minutes of dialogue in total, while she had the rest of the time. And I think that was almost a half an hour interview. I think it was like 26 minutes or something like that. And they barely got to talk. But this time around, they were caught in their own trap, because it was women speaking, not men. Had it have been men, they would have ran with that misogynist jargon all day, but these ladies were smart enough and got around that really quickly and talked about all of our actual concerns. They even turned Jennie Brahar even at the end of the video used one of their slogans against them, the listen and believe, which I thought was just genius. But what I was saying about them, not being used to having actual discussions, right now, these three ladies have pretty much decimated their one and only talking point, that we are a hate group and, it's all about sexism and it has nothing to do with journalistic integrity. So now the ball is in their court. At this point, they have no choice but to try to disprove these claims, which are facts. My only regret of these three ladies, these angels, is that they didn't really get to dive that deep into the Game Journal pros list, because when they brought up social justice warriors, he kind of tried to take control and say, well, you're harassing these social justice warriors. Isn't that the same thing? These everyone tries to act like they don't fucking know what a social justice warrior is. It's just pathetic. But they were like, no, we goof on social justice warriors because they claim to be about peace and equality and, no racism, but all they do is try to silence the conversation and push their agenda by calling everyone who disagrees with them a sexist or a racist or a misogynist. They use these minorities, such as myself and these women, as shields, which is why the hashtag #NotYourShield came about. Now, of course, this is all common knowledge to us, but to these people, these women are speaking fucking pig Latin, And one other thing that has come out of this event, so, I'm very happy right now, because like I said, they don't have anything to debate us with. They can't use their misogyny tactics anymore, because they broke the rule. The rule was never allow a discussion. They were doing good because they never allowed us to talk. We had all this evidence, but we never had a chance to talk. And now we had a chance to talk, and now they're fucked. Because they're not really going to have any... Honestly, what evidence are they going to come up to what? Are they going to try to pull the old, they're conservative, are they, they can't pull that again. They can't pull the misogyny card. They can't pull the sexism card. They can't pull the racism card. All their cards are gone. They don't have anything left to do. So what has happened? They've gone back to the sheeple. And a new hashtag has come about called #StopGamerGate2014. And the funny thing about this is a lot of these people who are using these hashtags are more violent and threaten more people than the Gamergate people are. But I thought we were the ones who were sending death threats. Let's take a look at some of these. And if you are a Twitter user and you see these tweets like this, I encourage you to save them, screen cap them, whatever, and make sure that these people are held to task for the bullshit they say. Let's take a look at this. Gamergate is like a cancerous tumor. It grows and spreads. It will not stop until it is taken out forcefully. And the other person says, and how would you propose to remove said cancer? I think you know exactly what I mean. No, I don't have a clue, actually. Tell me. I'm pretty sure this whole movement would some, uh, I guess they wanted to say come, but they said some. That shows you the intelligence level of some of these people. They can't even go to a fucking spell check. I'm pretty sure this whole movement would sum to an end, to a standstill, if someone dies from all this drama. Who would you like to kill to stop GamerGate? Then that depends. Who was the most vocal? And then there's another tweet. It says, "I used to wonder why Adam Baldwin's career never took off. Now I see why. Asshat, stop Gamergate. It's time to start doxing Gamergate participants. Best way to stop Gamergate 2014 is to out them to their work and families." So the people who were were being doxed by 8chan are abdicating the doxing of people who support Gamergate. Now I'm not trying to start a whole hissy fit here, but it's very odd to me because I've had a few conversations with these people myself, but I'm not going to show you those tweets because I want to remain anonymous. But I was asking people all day after I saw the video on Huffington Post and CNN with Brianna Wu, and I kept telling people, all of you people are running around saying that Gamergate is bad because we're condoning the doxing and harassment and of women, and women being sent death threats and murder threats and rape threats and bomb threats. Where is the proof that we're actually doing this? I mean, you say it with such vigor that you must have proof, and of course, none of them show any proof, and half of them blocked me, and one of them actually had the balls to say that they didn't need evidence. And he was trying to say this thing like, well, even if it wasn't Gamergate supporters, people out there are being inspired by Gamergate to attack these women. And I said, well, two things. Number one, basically what you're saying is if a crazy person is inspired by something and commits an act of violence, that all of a sudden that thing should be done away with. I mean, well, let's look at this hashtag Stop Gamergate logic. We all know about the John Holmes guy who shot up a movie theater when people were trying to watch Batman. And the guy was running around, acting like he was the fucking Joker and killed a bunch of innocent people and then acted like a fucking pussy when the cops showed up. The cops should have killed him where he stood, but that's not the point. The point is that when this guy was arrested, how come these people were not going, this guy was inspired by Batman or the Joker rather, to kill people in a movie theater. So hashtag stop films from being made. Hashtag stop superhero movies, because this one fucking lunatic who is not associated to comic book fans in any way took it upon himself to kill a bunch of people in the theater. Now, these people who are sending death threats are in no way linked to Gamergate. And, look, I fucking hate any of this Sarkeesian. I hate Brianna Wu. I hate Zoe Quinn. Do I want any of these women harassed or killed? Of course not. We're not supporting the the only thing that I would say in criticism of Gamergate is all of the conspiracy theories about these women making it up. And yes, I know the tweets look a bit fishy because they seem to happen so quickly, but the point is, if you don't have any evidence, you shouldn't say it. Because they're going to use that and say we're a bunch of tinfoil wearing motherfuckers who think these women are making it up. That's the only thing I would say negative about Gamergate. I do not buy into the whole. I know that. Look, I'm not going to deny that they look very. That the tweets that the women have sent look very fucking suspicious. But the FBI is saying that these are real threats and we're looking into it. So they're going to look into it and then we'll find out. Here's another tweet. By Adam Slesser of all people. I can't believe I used to fucking like this guy when I was a kid, but food delivery dude recognizes me just now. He means well, and all I do is get anxious because he has my address. Hashtag stop Gamergate. So now he's basically saying that, this food delivery guy, who I guess he's trying to say is a Gamergate supporter, because I guess when Adam Slesser gets his pizza delivered, he goes, hey, do you support Gamergate? And he's like, oh no, he knows my address. I fear for my life because some fucking guy who delivered pizza to my house or whatever it was, or might try to dox me or kill me or break into my house. I feel threatened because I speak for women in gaming and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, once again, like I've said to other people, if you are so fucking threatened that you honestly think that your fucking food delivery guy is gonna run in your house and kill you because you don't support Gamergate, call the fucking cops. Get off of Twitter. If I honestly felt that someone was going to try to kill me, I ain't going on the fucking internet. I'm going to the fucking police. And here's another tweet. Uh, Sargon found this guy, David Foster. If Josh Wheaton and Patton Oswalt have chimed in, maybe it's time to castrate these Gamergate degenerates. So once again, these people are calling for castration, just of Gamergate supporters. Now, granted, I don't see a Stop Gamergate tag on here, but once again, this is just another uninformed person who, oh well, if these celebrities said it, it must be true. We don't have to look into any of it. I mean, just look at this tweet, because two celebrities are on the anti-Gamergate side. That means I don't even have to look into what Gamergate is about. All I know is it's time to castrate these degenerate scum. This is the type of thinking that goes on with the opposite side. They're not interested in facts or ethics or reality. They're not interested in anything that we're interested about. They're constantly trying to derail the situation and just get us to shut up. But we won't shut up. Especially not now that we've actually got some traction. I don't know who the fuck is gonna... This train ain't stopping. Not now. In closing, I would say that for the more vocal people of Gamergate who have a bigger voice than I do, what I would suggest you do is focus more on the Game Journal Pros aspect of the discussion. Because the only talking points that I could imagine that they have left are, one, they're going to try to defend social justice warriors. I don't know how, but they will. Two, they're going to try to defame Breitbart, the website as a whole, Milo, and Christina Summers because they're all conservatives. And they'll find some way to defame Milo for maybe his past tweets, because he makes a lot of, not so friendly tweets sometimes. They're not kid friendly tweets. And also his articles, So they're going to try to do that. Also, outside of those two people, they are going to... this is just me, but I honestly do think that they're going to try to bring up... because they brought it up before. Some of the websites have brought it up before with the whole... it's not a real talking point, but I mean, they don't really have any real talking points, but I've seen people, Kotaku mainly, with the rain carpets of this, they were trying to get off the hot seat of gamer journalism corruption and try to put it on fucking Let's Players on YouTube, because apparently some of them were approached to give good reviews of the Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of Mordor, and they weren't allowed to say anything negative about the game, and they had to just talk about the positive the aspects of the game, and they had to do with blah blah blah, but just basically not very honest reporting. But once again, these are fucking people who play Let's Plays on YouTube. They're not people who had to go to college to get journalism degrees and had to swear an oath of ethics. These are fuckers on YouTube who play video games. And Kotaku was just filled with morons saying, it's the same thing, it's the same thing. Well, if it's the same thing, how come they had to get a degree? Because the funny thing is, by saying it's the same thing, you're basically demeaning your own profession by saying that my profession is not a real profession and I have a shitty degree. But, I mean, when you're Kotaku and, Polygon and stuff, you are on your last leg at this point. When your shaming tactics and counter-arguments involve defaming and diminishing your own profession by saying that being a journalist, being a video game journalist is no different than fucking PewDiePie, or Angry Joe. I mean, no disrespect to Angry Joe or PewDiePie. I could care less about them either way, but it's just, they're just people who play video games on YouTube. They're not journalists. So yeah, if they were paid to say, "Oh, Shadow of Mordor is the greatest game ever," yeah, I think that's wrong. But the difference is, if these two or any other prominent video game personalities on YouTube were to be found out like that, like it was found out, uh, people would just stop going to their YouTube channel, and that would be the end of it. But when we are calling you out for your corruption, you resort to all of these shaming tactics, calling everyone a sexist, calling everyone a misogynist, and yada yada yada. So that's all I have to say about this now. And there will be more to come within the following week, because I'm pretty sure that they're all right now, they're at their Think Hub, they're at their new Game Journal Pros mailing list part 2, thinking of how can we spin this? How can we spin this? Because we have to find a way to spin this. And the other thing I think is they're going to try to defame these women. They're going to find some dirt on these women, and even if no dirt exists, they'll just make some shit up. They're going to basically do all of the things that they accuse us of doing. These people have, it's so much projection, it's insane. They accuse us of being sexist, and they access us right back to us. They accuse us of sending death threats and what have you, but they do the exact same thing. They use the same tactics that they accuse us of doing. But when we point it out, they call us sexist. They call us misogynist. It's crazy. So I'm going to keep you guys informed in the week to come. And that's all for tonight.